Roller coasters are one of those things that are known to get a mixed response from a lot of people. In part 1, we looked at Zeus, Demon Clone's Roar, Fahrenheit, Great American Scream Machine, Great Bear, Outlaw Run, Incredicoaster, Ravine Flyer 2, and Jovial Hypers. Here are 10 more of those controversial coasters. Number 10 is Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Iron Rattler is very similar to Outlaw Run in that it's one of those early RMCs that some people view as top tier and others towards the bottom. Iron Rattler fans love how the train traverses up and around the quarry wall and uses the terrain to its advantage, especially when it takes those steep dives, absolutely yonking riders out of their seats. The train design is also much better than most RMCs because rather than using those restraints with the uncomfortable shin guards, Iron Rattler uses Gerstlauer trains, who besides their over-the-shoulder restraints know how to do comfort. And also, despite being one of the older RMCs, it's still one of the fastest, hitting a top speed of 70 miles per hour. But opponents of Iron Rattler say that doesn't really matter because of how poorly it keeps that speed. The quarry section is labeled as pointless and boring countless times. It really does have some unique elements up there, but if you're going at the speed of Duplo Dino Coaster through them, who really cares? A lot of people also complain about the length because the ride has just over 3,000 feet of track, but much of that is just spent meandering around the top of the quarry and only going through one inversion throughout the ride. As for me, I haven't ridden it yet, but it still does look like one of the lower tier RMCs. That by no means doesn't mean it's bad though, because all RMCs are fantastic rides. And if I were to make a top 100 coasters in the world video, I would probably guess Iron Rattler would come in around number 75. Oh, and just a reminder, if you didn't see the first video or don't remember, I was planning on making this video a while back, but then Airtime Thrills uploaded virtually the same thing, so in order to make the video unique, I won't be including any coasters that he had in his video. At number 9, we have the iconic Coney Island Cyclone, and the fact that it's iconic is the first reason why I think a lot of people hate on the ride. That might sound weird, but just hear me out. Think about it. Some most iconic coasters in the United States include Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Millennium Force, Space Mountain, KINGDA and Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. All these rides get a lot of hate from enthusiasts, so that just naturally carries over to the Cyclone. The ride is oftentimes just written off, but the people that have actually gone on it in recent years I think would have something to say about that. First of all, the ride has buzz bars. With an aggressive layout like that, well, at least for the time that was built in, those pretty much non-existent restraints will definitely help out the ride's standings. I've said this before, but I just want to reiterate how much buzz bars can help a ride. Both of the buzz bar Woodies I've ridden, those being Swamp Fox at Family Kingdom and Comet at Hershey Park, crack my top 25. If they had normal restraints, they'd be my 2 least favorite wooden coasters. But back to the Cyclone. There's been a ton of track work done over the past few years, retracking almost every part of the ride, and with that, it's been running as good as new recently, but it still manages to keep that classic Woody feel. And that design still feels old, as around almost every unbanked turn there's crazy ladders to behold. Sorry, I know I was trying to sound unbiased until I gave my opinion, but I just had to get it out there that Cyclone is a fantastic ride. Number 8 brings us to Thunderhead. Thunderhead is a GCI from the year of 2004, right around the time when GCI was improving a lot and going away from their old reputation of rough, boring woodies. This is really evident because you can see both sides in the ride. I've always thought of Thunderhead as if Wildcat, Hershey Park, and Gold Striker were combined. Thunderhead actually combines those old GCI lateral forces with the newer airtime. And that's actually what a lot of people like about Thunderhead. It's a very unique ride, well at least about as unique as a GCI will get. It provides a full package. And it even adds onto that by having cool effects like the station flyby, which actually was the first of its kind in the world. You can now see that element featured on other GCIs like Apocalypse. Thunderhead is also known for being a bit rough, which fans of the ride think just adds to the out-of-control feeling, but not everyone has this positive opinion towards the roughness. However, some people prefer the smoother experience of other GCIs like Mystic Timbers. Along with the roughness, there has also been some questions about both the pacing and strength of airtime. It's quite noticeable that towards the end of the ride, you don't have nearly as much speed as you did when you started, and this just won't do it for a lot of the speed junkies out there. As for the strength of airtime, this is a common complaint of many GCIs, as most of them feature very low-to-the-ground elements. It has even been said that the Millennium Flyer trains aren't capable of ejector airtime, leading to the creation of the new Infinity Flyer trains that were unveiled at IAAPA 2018 Expo. At number 7, we have Ride-A-Steel mirrored clones from Six Flags Daring Lake and Six Flags America. The Intamin are constantly ridiculed for their questionable layout choices. If you weren't aware, Superman Ride-A-Steel at Six Flags Daring Lake was the first ever Intamin Mega, aka their hypercoaster model. They decided to go simple, and this is showcased when the ride traverses through 2 different helixes and a straight section of track. On paper, it really doesn't sound that great. The helixes seem drawn out, and there's really nothing going on during the straight section. But there are a lot of people who have actually ridden one of the versions, or maybe even both. I feel the complete opposite way. The helixes add to the ride because of the forcefulness that they bring, or at least that the first one brings, and that the straight section gives you the feeling of pure speed, and that's not even to mention the airtime. There are 6 airtime moments, 5 of which give you some insane ejector airtime. Those are the 205-foot drop, the camelback separating the helixes, and the 3-hill finale. Oh, and those fans will claim that this is one of the best coaster finales to ever exist. I have ridden Superman Ride of Steel at Six Flags America, and I am 100% one of those fans. I might be the biggest one that you'll ever find. It has the strongest airtime that I've ever experienced, and it was an almost perfect ride. If only there was something in place with that second helix, it just doesn't really do much for me. Sitting the number 6 spot is Raptor at Cedar Point. For this one, I really think that depends on the day you ride it on. The one main complaint that people have that dislike Raptor is that it's rough. I think that everyone can agree that the layout is at least decent. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. But Raptor is a B&M from back in the 90s, and these are known for being mixed for when it comes to smoothness. For example, there's Firebird, which is in contention for the worst coaster I've ever been on. Then there's Great Bear, which is the smoothest coaster I've ever ridden. Raptor is actually a bit different from these rides though because it varies from day to day, but I think you get my point. The people that hate it ride it on its bad days, and the people that love it ride it on its good days, and the people in the middle have experienced both. I have ridden Raptor, and it was running terribly when I was there, so I'm not a big fan. However, that could completely change the next time I get out to Cedar Point if it's running well. At 5 is KINGDA, the intimate accelerator at Six Flags Great Adventure and the tallest coaster in the world. Ka proves that stats don't mean everything, as I'm sure that no one here is considering it their number 1, but a lot of people do still really enjoy it, while others just see it as okay. Let's start with the just okay. One major gripe about KINGDA is the rattle that the launch has that isn't helped by those awful, overbearing, intimate, hard plastic over-the-shoulder restraints. If you're not in the front, which you probably don't have time to wait for if you're trying to get all the coasters at Great Adventure, you're going to feel some pain. I've not had the chance to ride Ka yet, although I hope to soon, but I imagine that the launch is very similar to how Stormrunners was back before it was retrofitted to vest restraints. Painful, but still intense. But the rattle isn't the only thing against Ka. It has been called time and time again as a short, one-trick pony, which I guess is fair because it's just a launch into a top hat. But Ka lovers will say that even if it is just a one-trick pony, that's fine. It's a very good one-trick. Launching to 128 miles per hour is one of the most surreal experiences that you will ever have in your life. There are few other places in the world where you can go so fast while being so free. Plus, you gotta remember that the ride crests a 456-foot tall hill, and while it may only be for a short few seconds, if even that view will make you want to get back in line again and again. At the 4th spot, we come to Banshee, yet another B&M invert to make the list. But this is actually a newer one. Like Raptor, I don't think that anyone is out here complaining about the layout or the ride being boring. The main complaint are those blasted vest restraints. A lot of people think that these are the worst vest restraints, as they tend to continuously tighten and restrain riders even more throughout the ride, which really isn't necessary. That's also not to mention the rattle that people complain about. Even if there isn't those hard over-the-shoulder restraints, the rattle is still annoying to many people. However, the rattle doesn't bother everyone, which is why some people think of it as an upper-tier invert. Those people often are able to get past the vest restraints, or maybe they just have a certain body build that works for it. I've always thought the restraints that you prefer depend on your body build and genetics. If you're able to get past those restraints, then Banshee has one of the most jam-packed, intense layouts of any B&M invert, and you're gonna love it. Number 3 brings us to Cheetah Hunt. Much like a lot of the coasters here, there is one big common ground. Almost everyone that's ridden Cheetah Hunt can agree that it isn't exactly the most intense roller coaster in the world. But before going into the ride, I think that's all about expectations. People see that intimate blitz coaster title and think Maverick, or maybe even Taiga if you think you're really cool, when the ride isn't that, and it wasn't supposed to be that. People are disappointed by how little the ride brings in the intensity department, and just aren't able to get over that. Some of the areas can be a bit poorly paced too. Just look at the way the train crawls when it's on the top of the twisty section, or whatever that element is called. I know I probably sounded GP there. In my opinion, this is probably to give families a little bit of a break from the action, because that's what the ride is meant for. It's meant for families. There's also a lack of airtime moments, and even worse, Cheetah Hunt has those dreaded trim brakes, which kind of contributes to the pacing complaints. But then, of course, there are the people on the complete opposite side, otherwise it wouldn't be in this video. One of the first things that those people would say is it has amazing natural scenery. Being located in Florida, it already has that going for it, but the park went above and beyond, making it use the terrain to its advantage, in addition to adding some man-made rockwork formations and greenery. Having good natural scenery really helps the atmosphere and overall feel of a ride, but also the people that go in with lower expectations come out just thinking about how fun the ride was. It's a long ride with some great moments in there that just make for an overall fantastic experience. I think I'd side with the people that think it's a fantastic ride because I don't care if a ride isn't intense if it makes up for it in fun factor. At the 2 spot, there's Boulder Dash at Lake Compounds, and just because it's a 5-time Best Wood Coaster Golden Ticket Award winner doesn't mean that all hardcore enthusiasts are in love with it. With Boulder Dash, I think that it really depends on the day you ride it on, because the complaints that it gets are basically completely opposite to the praises. That probably didn't make any sense, but hopefully it will in a second. The people that love Boulder Dash praise it for many things. First of all, that wooded setting. This is the one thing that I don't think anyone is really questioning. It goes back out in an area where there's really nothing else in the park, kind of like a more fast-paced beast. That's what a lot of people like about it, the pacing. They say that the ride really never gives up its speed, and it's a good thing that has a long brake run because if it had to stop on a dime, man, that would hurt. But then there are the people that complain about the pacing. They see those numerous dead sections and areas of straight track, and they just want a little bit more. Another thing that people love about Big Boulder is the airtime that it delivers. Sideways airtime, ejector airtime, flagector airtime, sustained airtime, no airtime. Wait, what? Yeah, that's right. Countless people have complained about the airtime hills not giving enough airtime or not having strong enough airtime. Most enthusiasts like to have more powerful airtime that gets you out of your seat for an eternity, and depending on the day you ride on, who knows if you'll get that. The final thing that people just can't agree on is the smoothness. Boulder Dash was reportedly remarkably smooth at the time of opening, but like most wooden coasters, numerous people have complained about it not staying that way, no matter how much work they do on it. But in recent years, a good portion of the ride has been retracked by Daddy GCI, which is enough for a lot of people to see it as a smooth, enjoyable ride. Boulder Dash is right at the top of my bucket list because I really need to see it for myself. And finally, at number 1, we have Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. I've said it before and I'll say it again, restraints can really make or break a ride. When Superman the Ride opened back at the turn of the millennium... No, shut up, I did not ask. But anyway, it hit the standard Intamin T-bar restraints, some of the best, most free-feeling restraints in the industry. But then there was an individual that turned out to be a little bit too large for the ride and got a little bit too much airtime, leading to the restraints being changed a little while later. To say the least, the new restraints have been a bit extensive and have gotten the name U-Bricks. It has also been complained that they just aren't shaped right, essentially ruining the ride experience because you can't focus on the actual ride. There are, on the other hand, people that aren't really bothered by the restraints. They can look past them and see it in its former Golden Ticket Award-winning glory. For that refurb, it was truly amazing, so it would have been great to see another update of the restraints. That layout is a masterpiece of intimate design. It's a shame that one thing can ruin it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Remember to leave your thoughts, suggestions, and video ideas in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya!